I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everyone. I guess we'll begin with, do I have a motion to approve the agenda for the meeting?
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Lindblad, second by Sturdivant to approve the agenda for April 19th. Any comments? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes. Our next item on the agenda is Spotlight on Recognition, the Employee of the Month.
It's my pleasure to announce for April 2016, the Employee of the Month is Samantha Rossi. Samantha is a Tiger Club instructor who works with our youngest learners in our Itsy Bitsy Tiger, our IBEaker, infant toddler childcare at FCC. Sam was an ALC student. She began as a volunteer in the infant toddler room, and we were lucky enough to hire her after her graduation. Sam's reliability is amazing. Even when working long days, Sam stays focused on doing the best job possible. She meets requests for additional hours and performing extra duties with a sure, no problem, and a smile. Sam treats everyone with respect and kindness, most notably the infants and toddlers in her care. Her gentle guidance promotes their learning and growing in a comfortable, encouraging atmosphere filled with genuine love and appreciation for each child's unique personality. Sam consistency and dedication to her job makes her a very deserving person for this award. Congratulations to Sam.
Congratulations. Thank you. Next would be Superintendent Staff Reports, beginning with the Storm Ready certification.
And tonight we have Dennis Kraft is here to introduce a guest that's with him and talk about an award, or it's really not, or a certification, I guess.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Dennis Kraft. I'm Director of Transportation, Buildings and Grounds with Fridley Schools. And I'm going to introduce Bill Berghoff here in just a moment, but I thought I'd give you a quick little background of why we're here. Probably about a year and a half ago, I went to a facilities directors meeting, and the idea of Storm Ready was presented. And I think Bill might have done that, actually. And I thought it was something our district could do. So we came back and got the application and looked into it, and everyone thought it would be a good thing for the district. So we went ahead and filled out the application, did the things we needed to do, and last month, Bill and his staff committee came out and certified us for a Storm Ready supporter. We're one of 3 schools in the metro area here that are designated as such. Hopkins Schools, Intermediate School 287, and ourselves, along with companies like Best Buy, the Mayo Clinic, the Twins at Target Field, or a few more. So I'd like to introduce you to Bill Berghoff from the National Weather Service and Chad Hassan.
Thank you, Dennis. Well, thank you, and thanks for having me. It's been a lovely couple days here, finally. I'd like to talk a little bit about the Storm Ready program. It began in 1999 as a collaborative effort between the National Weather Service, emergency managers, and first responders. And each of those entities brings a unique perspective to the readiness program for severe weather. The Weather Service issues the warnings. Emergency management plans for disasters and tries to mitigate those disasters. And the first responders are the first ones on the scene if a disaster hits. So each brings a unique perspective to that program and how schools and other entities can be prepared when weather strikes. So that began in 1999, and since it's spread nationwide, and the program basically focuses on 2 aspects, preparedness. So how do you respond to severe weather strikes? How many different ways do you receive warning, and how do you disseminate those warnings, keep people safe and in shelter. The other aspect is outreach and teaching people that are involved in the program how to recognize threats and how to pass that information out along to others so that others can stay safe as well. So Frid's certainly not immune to tornadoes, as you guys know. And I'm beyond excited that the school district here pushed forward with this program. It's a very good program. So with that, I'd like to present the certificate to the Fridley School District, certifying you as storm ready, and it'll be good for 5 years, at which point we go through the process again and update the application, come visit you, and we'll keep it going. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill and his staff have been very helpful to me as he's been going through the process. And I will say that although there were things that we needed to make sure that we had better communication with, that we had clarification, many of the pieces were already in place. And so that was affirming, especially to me as I was listening to the committee last week as they were at the building. So we appreciate all the work because we know that if and when weather happens, storms happen, that we do want to make sure that we in this community are well prepared because it's happened before. So thanks to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that forward, Dennis.
Next up, we have a coding presentation.
We have Miss Diane Ray and Kathy Kramer along with some very special guests.
Hi, thanks for having us. I'd like to introduce Diane Ray. She is an EL teacher at Stevenson. She has put coding on the map for us in Fridley, and she is a great example of IB in action. So take it away.
All right. Well, this all started last June when our wonderful principal, Daryl Vossler, said,
Oh, now he's wonderful.
said, I would like to send you to a coding training. Okay, I don't know what that is, but okay, I'll go. So I went to this training because Daryl really wanted to figure out a way that we could get coding at Stevenson. And at the training, I learned about code.org. And I'd like to show you this video because I think it will help you understand how and why I got so excited about coding.
As a 4-year-old, I had to live through a Islamic revolution, totalitarian regime, war with Iraq, and bombings every night in our city. So not a great childhood. Probably the most important thing that happened to me in my childhood was when my dad bought myself and my twin brother our first computer. He didn't bring us any software or any games, and we were in Iran, so he couldn't buy any of that stuff. So I learned how to basically program the computer from the manual. Because I knew how to do computer programming, I ended up getting the chance to build Internet Explorer, which is used by billions of people. I had the chance to invest in Dropbox and Facebook. These things made a major difference in my life. The delta between jobs and students is roughly 100,000 jobs a year, more jobs than students studying computer science. Over 10 years, that adds up to 1 million jobs, and if you add up the salaries, it's over $500 billion that basically our industry wants to pay to these graduates. The graduates don't exist. Our population needs to be ready for the 21st century, and the vast majority of our schools don't even teach this skill. This is a field that leads to the best paying jobs in the country. It is the degree that if you graduate with, you have the highest chance of graduating with a job and the highest salary possible. Code.org started as a hobby for me. I wanted to make a short movie that combines some of the smartest, most famous geeks of the world, along with regular world celebrities, talking about the importance of learning computer science and how it can change your life and how it's important for our world. This video resonated with millions of people. It struck a real chord, and the response was so overwhelming that my hobby's now turned into a full-time job. For Code.org's success is about two things. Every school in the United States teaches computer science, and every single student gets some exposure to it. We should be able to add trillions of dollars to the economy, millions of jobs, as well as helping reduce the inequality gap by allowing the underprivileged kids to have a pathway to the best jobs in the country. And it's not just about the jobs you can get or the salaries, it's about learning that if you build something, you have a dream, you can spread that dream to other people, and that changes the world.
Yep, every time I watch it, I get goosebumps. So, over the summer, I thought about coding after my training, and I was so excited to start this. Because I am an EL teacher, so I am a language teacher. I found out at my training, coding is a language. It's the language a computer understands. It's computer programming. So if you want to make the computer something, you write code. Since I have been teaching this, I've noticed that computer science, it's really amazing for the kids. It teaches them logic, problem solving, creativity, and perseverance. Also collaboration. They're working together on a lot of these problems. And I love this quote by Hadi. By teaching computer science to our students, we will help reduce the inequality gap by allowing the underprivileged kids to have a pathway to the best jobs in the country. Let's give our kids a real life skill, something they'll need for the 21st century. I also want to teach them to be creators, not just consumers. Don't just use an app, make one. Don't just play a game, create one. That feeling of being able to create something is empowering and just really amazing. That's what I want for our kids. So, Daryl says, okay, how are we going to do this? I said, let's start small. We decided to have one code camp after school with Learning Academy so the kids would have a bus to get home. I started out with 13 second graders. I was a little unsure how it would go. I found out it was great. I didn't really have to be a teacher. I was just there as a guide. It is really, they're self-paced. Some kids go through the course really fast, some are slower, and that's okay. Sometimes we do unplugged activities, which are not even on the computer, but they're still learning the basics. They are learning about coding and programming. So I decided with Code Camp we needed some press, so I sent out some press releases, and the Sun Focus wrote a story. Stevenson Elementary introduces coding class, because we're really on the cusp of something new. Not a lot of districts are doing this. So after teaching this and seeing how amazing it was and learning more about Code.org, I was introduced to the Hour of Code, which is a global thing that they're trying to get every kid to try at least 1 hour of coding. I thought, wouldn't it be great if every kid at Stevenson could try at least 1 hour of coding? So again, I asked Daryl, he says, yep, go for it. So Kathy and I got together and we figured out a logistics plan. We got volunteers. Kathy got a lot of high school kids to come in. I found 6 actual coding professionals through Code.org who came to help us with the Hour of Code. So we also got some press again. The Sun Focus came. Stevenson Elementary participates in the Global Hour of Code. And then we have some pictures. The first picture is 4th graders in their classroom doing the Hour of Code. I put up a poster outside my office. We counted down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. The whole school was so excited to try their hour. Even kindergartners, if you could imagine kindergartners doing anything for an hour, they did it. And this is a video of one kindergartner. This happened throughout the week. I don't care what age the kids were. When they solved a puzzle that they had really been working on, they're like, woo! It was very fun. So next, what are we going to do second semester? I was really wanting to have as many kids as possible continue with this because the kids really loved it. I have never seen 100% engagement before this Hour of Code. So I said, okay, all 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders who are interested in staying after school for coding, write your name on a piece of paper, put it in an envelope outside my door. I got 200 names. So then we had to figure out, okay, well, we don't have enough teachers, rooms, devices, but what can we do? we decided to have a code camp Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and 3 of the volunteers from Hour of Code were kind enough to volunteer for code camp. So the first gentleman up on the top is Rick Ledford. He doesn't even have a kid at Stevenson. He helps me with 4th grade code camp. He's been teaching me and the kids all kinds of amazing things. He has purchased 2 robot arms, a Raspberry Pi, an Arduino. It's so much fun. I have 2 4th graders here. They'll tell you even more. Then on this side is Jerry Peel. He volunteers 2 nights, Monday night and Wednesday night. And this is Marcy Martin, and she has 2 daughters at Stevenson, and she helps on Tuesday night with our 2nd grade coding. This is the 2nd grade unplugged activity called relay programming. As I said, some of our things are unplugged, not on the computer. The kids love it. This is a picture of the 4th graders building a robotic arm. And now we're thinking of the future. What can we possibly do? I would love to partner with code.org. For elementary, we'll teach the basics of coding to build that solid foundation. In middle school, they have a 20-hour computer science course. And for high school, they have a year-long computer science course. And the great thing, all of their curriculum is free.
We would like to go beyond the Hour of Code, partnering with Hour of Code, and integrate coding into every content area like inquiry. For example, in science classes, students could use coding to produce simulations. In EL, they could do spelling games, they could do storylines with coding. With social studies, they could actually look at historical figures, historical events, and create timelines with coding. Music, they can create original sounds, original music for games. In art, they can use shapes, manipulate shapes, draw shapes. In all content areas, they can do drill and practice coding, so students make decisions if, then, else blocks in every content area. And then in math, which is an obvious thing, they can create angles, they can do structures, models that represent mathematical concepts. They can also look at data sets and represent data sets using coding. So there's many ways, like inquiry, we can integrate this in, and it's a natural IB concept. It would fit into every content area.
So again, I think we need to teach computer science to our kids. I am a resident of Fridley, so I actually care about our kids and our community and what we're doing for our kids. Let's give them that leg up. Let's give them a real life skill they can use to get a really great job. I want all of you guys to make more money than me. Okay. So there again, let's teach this because it will help reduce the inequality gap by allowing the underprivileged kids to have a pathway to the best jobs in the country. And now I get to introduce 4 of my top students. Come on up. These are 2 sets of siblings, by the way. So let's see, here we have Abdi and Najad. Najad is in 4th grade, Abdi is in 2nd grade. Najad was born in Kenya and came to the United States when she was 2 or 3 years old. Abdi was born here. At home they speak Somali and English. And my 2 friends here, this is Abu Bakr and Muntaha. Abu Bakr is in 4th grade, Muntaha is in 2nd grade. And these 2 have only been in the United States for 2 years. They were born in Sudan. And I'd like you all to keep in mind that research has shown consistently over 40 years in studies around the world that to learn a second language, it takes 5 to 7 years. I'm not talking about just chit-chat with your friends on the playground, but academic language. So these 4 are still learning academic English, and yet they excel at coding, and they're just amazing. And I just would like you guys to tell them some things that you like about coding. What do you think?
I I like when there's a bug. You know what a bug means?
Yes.
A problem, and I like to debug it. And I like patterns. When I find patterns, I like to use them a lot. And I'm the youngest kid, and I'm the second highest.
Nice. Nice.
Most
Very
of these are
good.
third
Good job.
graders, and he's a second grader. Najad.
In fourth grade, we make robots with our advisor, and then it's not easy to make the robot, so we have to process it, and we have to do lots of scratch.
Good job.
Wow.
Yay.
What do you like coding?
The thing that I like about coding is that when we do the y-axis, x-axis, and the z-axis, like on the ceilings, squares, and I like when we were like hanging the pencil on the robot and we were trying to make it do the letter L.
And also, I'd like to say that for the fourth grade code camp, we only did a little bit of the code.org coursework, and then Mr. Ledford had all this other amazing stuff for us to do, and I challenged the fourth graders to do this at home on their own. And Abu Bakr took up that challenge, and he has gone through so many levels all by himself
Nice.
at home.
Nice.
Really amazing.
Good job. Good job.
And here is his sister Muntaha, second grader. What do you like about coding, Muntaha?
I like making letters with angles and pixels.
Exactly. She is amazing at this. So she has to make a little artist draw a letter. And she doesn't just go like this. She does the block letters. So for instance, move forward 100 pixels. Then she has to choose the angle and the direction that the artist has to turn. Choose how many pixels this way. Another turn and angle. How many pixels this way? Another turn and angle. How many pixels this way? I mean, it's amazing. She's doing this all by herself. And she just, she can figure it out. She doesn't even ask me, what angle? She just knows. Amazing.
Good job, guys.
So there are my amazing students, and we want to keep going with this, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Will you be having your students teach coding for adults?
I know, because half the stuff you're talking about, we don't even understand.
Actually, I'm thinking about having a course for community education for adults.
That would be awesome.
Because I think a lot of parents, they don't have a clue.
We don't.
and it's easy and it's great and it's fun and you would love it. So I'm actually in talks right now with community education to set up a couple of community ed classes.
We would like that.
Okay. We'll keep you posted.
Thanks so much,
Thank
Diane.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you much, Diane. Thank you, Kathy. And thank you, students. That is
Yes, good job.
incredible. Well, following that up with just one more thing after that, our next up is our EMT EMR. Eric, you've got the floor, but tough act to follow. But I think you can do it.
Yeah, I thought I was bringing like the four smartest kids in the district up. Introduction. So, like I said, we have 4 EMTs current and from first semester students with us. I am the teacher for the Emergency Medical Responder and EMT course at Fridley High School, that where the first responder class started last year and the EMT course started this year. So with us also is Dee, and Dee is works for North Memorial Ambulance, where these kids get their ride-along experience. And over here to the right is Joe Graft, and Joe has worked in EMS for 50 years. And 10 years into that, so for 40 years, Joe decided it would be a great idea to start including high school kids in the learning of emergency medical skills. So Joe's going to come up here and kind of take us through the program.
Great. But I first want to thank Dr. Flatner. We met at a TIES meeting a long time ago, and she said, I'd really like to do something for kids so they're ready for work. So they're ready for work, okay? And I said, why don't we start an EMT program? And she said, fantastic, and off it went. I do appreciate all of the board members very much support, but I also have to tell you, I spent 12 years on a school board in Forest Lake. So I know some of the trials and tribulations you go through and the decisions you had to make, and they're tough decisions. So I really appreciate you supporting this program and supporting the kids. These are some of the people that are now involved, just so you have an idea. I didn't have Dee's name up there, and I apologize for that. But we talked about these names already once. I don't have to go to them again. But it's important to understand these are all people that care about kids. When I worked for the state, I was EMS manager for the state of Minnesota, and I got who I got. In other words, they'd say, here's who you're working with. And sometimes I had good people, sometimes I didn't, just like you do. But I get to pick this time. And it's really cool. We've got 15 people that work with your students at one time or another, coming in and sharing their skills with them. Then, if this works, work with me, there we go. We got approached by Superintendent Flatman about starting the EMT program I talked about. In 2014-15 was the first year of the program. We did EMR students only. That was the way to do it. Emergency medical responder students only, to get your foot in the water to see if there was more interest involved with the students. So that was perfect. And you had about how many students that first year? 50?
Yeah, both classes.
50 students. And we're going to say that that's going to increase. Paul of Forest Lake right now has 144 registered for next year. And Spring Lake Park, you know, has quite a few students, so does Osseo. Then we got awarded a $5,000 grant that Mr. Anderson and Dr. Flatman put together with the American Heart Association. I do a lot of work with them on regional faculty, so I would bug the heck out of them. So where's my $5,000 for Fridley? So with that money, they got a lot of mannequins, oxygen equipment, backboards, and things that, you know, budget tight. We were able to secure a lot of dollars for that. So that was pretty cool. Well, I'm also working on a grant right now for $315,000. And we may hear within the next 2 weeks, if we get it, for simulation equipment. Kind of like what they're talking about here with coding, except now we have mannequins that blink, that talk to you, that have blood pressures, that if you mess up, they die. I mean, it's really an interesting process. My son works with it at the U in the medical school, and he does coding. It's really an interesting thing. 2015 class was the first EMT class in the fall, and that test is a tough test, and Mr. Anderson passed it. In fact, he got a little panicked because at 70 questions of computer testing, it shut off. And he called me right away. The machine shut off. I said, you passed. If you get at 70 questions, the machine shuts off, you're good. If it goes to 120 questions, you're questionable. So this is good stuff. Then, we had an agreement for concurrent enrollment that Dr. Flatman put together with the principal, Renee Van Gorp, over at the high school, and we were able to secure 12 college credits. I sent my first report in to Dr. Flatman on Eric's, and he's done. He finished his DOT, Department of Transportation instructor program. He had to take that. That's mandatory by the Emergency Medical Services Regulatory Board. Working on him right now to get his CPR instructor status. And right now, he's on our website as an EMT instructor for the state of Minnesota. So that's pretty cool, all in 1 year. That just doesn't happen. Very bright young man. You're very lucky to have him here. Then we have the college credits I talked about. Pine Tech just contacted me and said, you know what? We're only going to give 6 college credits next year for EMT and not 9. The whole MnSCU system reorganized their credits system. And now what they're doing, you know how college credits work. They need a little bit more of that. So what they're doing is doing that 6 for EMT, but they're doing a 3-1 now called operations. So this is more working in the ambulances, so that they split it out. Now, all the students are registered with Emergency Medical Services as responders with the state. So all of these people right up here, whether they're EMTs or not, have their emergency medical responder card from the state of Minnesota. So that means they can work in fire, EMS, and other places. And if you have a disaster, God forbid, in this school district, you have about 50 students that are trained in basic life support CPR. They know how to use oxygen equipment, blood pressures, patient assessment, and they can also help with any emergencies that you have in your building. Forest Lake right now is using the EMT students to teach the other students CPR, which is a requirement for the state. So they do all the training. And then Mr. Kendrick just oversees that training, and they meet the state requirement. Very little dollars. We already have the equipment. Pretty cool. And then upon successful completion,
They get an American Heart Association CPR certification. I don't know if you guys have yours with you. You have yours, don't you, Eric? Why don't you just pass them around quick so they can see all the cards you got now? And he can almost play 500 with them, but that's okay. When EM class, students have the opportunity to ride with North. Without North Ambulance, your students could not be certified as EMTs. Now, North is located in Forest Lake. I talked North into taking Fridley students. And so they've been coming up to Hugo, Lino Lakes, and also Forest Lake for rides. So without North, you wouldn't have a program as far as EMTs are concerned. So they're a really good partner with us. And then they get, EMR students get a 13-chapter book, but the EMT students get a 40-chapter book. Yep.
So here's the thickness comparison.
Pass that one around. Let them see what it's like, okay? And they have to pass a skills test. Now, the issue with skills is a lot of the places that you go to, they do all their skills in one day. We can't do that here because we only have an hour and a half to work. So it takes us a full week or a week and a half to get all the students through their skills, and Dee is one of the people that come up and do the examining. She doesn't see this in a classroom setting, so therefore she gets a chance to take a look at them. So what we want to do is show you a couple pictures. That's right, we did a stay. And this is Tom Arakami. He's doing a work with oxygen management with the students. Here's another one with oxygen management. Come on, is it me? Okay. There they're working with an oxygen tank and showing how to do it properly. We're doing some backboarding here. Blood pressures, they're actually taking it correctly. That's why I'm happy, yes. Here's the National Guard came out and showed them what to do with amputations at the scene, which is really cool. They come out and volunteer and do this. Some more work on students, bandaging, splinting in the wrestling room. Remember, you just did the backboard, and you can see where we did the training. The National Guard is working with them. Fridley Fire. By the way, the Fridley Fire Chief was an OEC grad. Okay? John Berg. Bandaging. Look at that happy guy. And here's where I gave Nick his first National Registry patch when he achieved that goal, and I was very happy. Questions for us? I know school board. I was told 6 to 8 minutes. And then shut up. Questions, please?
I just wanted to mention, I'm sure you don't remember me, but back in the, I wrote a speech here, I'm kind of nervous and starstruck. Back in the olden days, in the last century, I'm speaking specifically to Mr. Graff and you students. He was the best teacher I had in the OEC program, was the best program in my high school experience. In the demonstration where you tied up the board chair, I saw the same skills with tucking the, having the person at the head call the ball, tuck it in the straps so you don't trip over them and things like that. I learned that stuff 30 plus years ago in the last century. Well, Joe Graft was the teacher and the adult I had in high school that made the difference in my life. And I want to thank you for continuing to make that difference still today, the students.
You never know.
You never know. What goes around comes around.
And he passed. That was the best.
Who knew?
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Any other questions that you want to ask anybody? I know you're on a tight time.
I know we said it earlier, did you say where these young people behind us are headed out afterwards for their careers, possibility?
Nick?
All right, so I plan on going into law enforcement. Worked with several different communities. I'm a police explorer with Blaine. I just got to meet the deputy director over at Lino Lakes, and I work a lot for the police department. I just actually applied for the reserve program. So I'd very much like to go into law enforcement and use my EMR skills in the career.
And where are you going to college?
I'll be starting at Century next year and then transferring to Metro State for my bachelor's degree. Yeah. Metro State.
Good job.
Carlos?
So, I'm going back to Brazil in June, and then I'm going to start college in February. I just got accepted in a nice college in Brazil, so I'll be studying medicine for the next years, and if I get the registry here, I might be able to work during college in Brazil. I will get the registry, and then I'm going to get to work in Brazil in ambulances, so that would be a nice experience. Definitely work I'll be in the medicine area. Not sure what yet, though. So
Good job.
thank you.
Very good.
I'm going to Century next year. They have a paramedic program for a year, and I can go out in the field in 2 years and have a job that pays around 40 grand. That's really nice as a starting job, you know. So I'm very, very fortunate for this guy right here in the program.
Good job.
I'm Samira. I'm planning on going to Metro State University to get my bachelor's in science of nursing. So I want to be a registered nurse.
Nice. Good job.
Excellent.
These are a great bunch of kids.
Yeah.
We really love them. And they know I love them because I'm so darn hard on them, just like everybody here. I want to thank them, and Dee and Mr. Anderson, been fantastic. And your support really means a lot. Really means a lot. The students oftentimes don't know what the school board does. But with Dr. Flavin at the educational piece of it, you have done a fantastic job. These kids, we could have brought any of the kids up, the ones that were available.
I also want to let you know that just this last week, Joe Graff was awarded from Anoka County the Public Health Recognition Award, and for those 40 years that he's been a part of this community. And I think it's probably just about everywhere you go. That meeting, there was a gentleman who also came up and is an Anoka County employee and was in your first class. And so just like it happened here with Joe, it happened there. So congratulations. This is the plaque that Joe received last Tuesday. So we really appreciate the work he did, and it's very nice that Anoka County is recognizing that as well.
Absolutely.
Call me into her office now. Every time I get these fingerprints out, it's a problem. She spun this piece of paper around and said, "This is from Anoka County, you better read it." And she's the one that put me into that word, so I had no idea this was coming. Okay?
Congratulations.
Deserved.
Thank you.
I want to congratulate you and all your students. I know from just a little demonstration we had before the meeting started and being the victim there, not that I want to be the victim, but I know if you students showed up and I was in that actual situation, I'd be in good hands. So congratulations to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Good job, guys.
And with that, we tied them all together. We started with talking about how coding and EMT and EMR and just tied it all together.
Storm ready. We got
just-
people that are
right.
storm ready here.
Nice job.
Got it all tied front to back, so. Well, next, I get to move on from that to another happy note. I'd like to start with a resolution accepting gifts. Every month, we are fortunate enough to receive gifts from our folks around the area. And as state statute requires, we do have a resolution for that. It basically is the same every month, so I will just read some of the gifts that we received over the past month. The grant that was received and awarded to the Fridley Community Theater of $5,000 from the Metropolitan Regional Arts Council for the upcoming summer production of The Lady Pirates of Captain Bree. The Fridley ECFE program received a grant from ACCFC Partnership grant of 2016-2017 for Opening Doors for English Language Learners, which is an ECFE Spanish-speaking families for the amount of $47,425. The following person has donated to Fridley Public Schools. The family of Adam donated a Hoyer lift and 2 wheelchairs and a stander.
And I would like to also add for this gift that we would like to acknowledge this very special gift tonight. This gift was presented by the family of Adam Vo in honor of their beloved son and brother. Adam was an 11-year-old Fridley student with special needs who passed away this past February. He was a happy child with a smile that could light up the room. Adam's mother, Vieng, and his 3 older siblings, brothers Al, Alex, and sister Nicole, have donated all of these specialized equipment to the Fridley Public Schools so that other students with special needs can use them. We thank Adam's family for their gift and want them to know that other students will benefit from their kindness and generosity.
So thank you to them, and we are sorry for their hardship, but we're glad that they could find some extra help out to in Adam's name, so. Donations to Hayes Elementary School, there was an anonymous donor for $26, Chelsea Grandstand in the amount of $60, Michael Paquette, $130, Jennifer Reichert, $125.06, Deanna Roth, $195, Stephen and Janet Stromberg for the H2O fundraiser Haiti of $100. The following persons donated to Stevenson Elementary School, the Fridley Lions Club with Nima Chagolo, Tiffany Robinson, and Stephanie, the Fridley Lions Club donated $1,100 to the educational tools for the kindergarten class. Nima Chagolo did $14, Tiffany Robinson $70, Stephanie Sharp $35. Donating to Fridley High School, AAA Auto Parts provided some fenders for Mr. Gray's auto detailing class. The Emmanuel Christian Center and Care Community, Pastor Brian Talso of Spring Park volunteered time and paid $200 for meals at conferences for the staff and families. Jimmy John's provided 60 sandwiches for FHS staff. Noodles Company provided 48 meals for the staff. And Redeemer Fridley Campus with Director of Student Ministries Brian Monteague volunteered time and paid $245 for meals and conferences for those staff and families. Also, Stephen Veracek provided $400 to cover the cost of the new wrestling team shirts. At the middle school, two anonymous donors combined for a total of $22.05. Allison Hoff in $35, Kimberly Ringhofer for $14, and Stephanie Sharp for $35. Now, there was quite a number of things for the band. A baritone was provided by Myron and Thelma Nash for the middle school band program. And then quite a number of donors provided monies as part of their February Practice-a-thon fundraiser. I'm not going to go bother to read all the names, but we will be thanking each one of them individually. But their combined donations totaled $2,582.55. So with that, do I have a motion to accept these gifts and thank their donors?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Devo, seconded by Lindblad to accept these gifts and thank their donors. Any other conversation? If not, clerk, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Delvo?
Aye.
Ms. Lindblad?
Aye.
Ms. Polito?
Aye.
Ms. Dahl?
Aye,
Mr. Sturtevant?
Aye.
and the resolution passes. Our next item on the agenda is a resolution to terminate and non-renew the employment of certain non-tenured probationary teachers. Amina, for once you didn't have to follow all the kids.
I'm very thankful for that. That's a tough act of. I am sharing with you tonight and bringing for your the resolution for the notice of termination and non-renewal. Just to let you know that this is a list of names of folks that we have to terminate or non-renew for the following reasons. They are all probationary teachers. They are either have failed to meet our performance standards, or they are late hires. We have discontinued their positions. There are financial limitations, or they are being non-renewed because of licensure requirements. And so the motion is to terminate and non-renew the following teachers for the 16-17 school year. Turi Anderson, Krista Jorar, Lindsay Cunningham, Rebecca Johnson, Colleen Klein, Emily Lowe, Nadine Luck, Julianne Ninteman, Rebecca Ryan, Mark Schumacher, Elizabeth Schweitzer, and Mr. Jeffrey Tim.
All right, and now this is a standard procedure that we do every year for these folks.
Yes, this is standard procedure as we look at non-renewals for probationary teachers.
Right, thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution to terminate and non-renew the teaching contracts for the non-tenured?
Move to approve. I'll second.
Motion by Lindblad, second by Prueto to approve the resolution to terminate and non-renew the teaching contracts of certain non-tenured probationary teachers, as Ms. Oftedal read. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Ms.
Delvo?
Aye.
Ms. Lindblad?
Aye.
Ms. Parito?
Aye.
Mr. Riddle?
Aye,
Mr. Sturtevant?
Aye.
and the resolution passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item is a motion to approve the Fridley Association School Principals Master Agreement for 2015 to 2017. Mr. Hammer.
Yeah, so tonight we have a agreement with the Fridley Association of School Principals for the 15-16 and 16-17 school year in front of you for your approval. We'd like to thank the principals for their collaboration in this agreement, and it's in line with our other CBA agreements and agreements that we have with other individuals as we've went through the bargaining process this year.
All right, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Delvo, seconded by Sturtevant to approve the Fridley Association of School Principals Master Service Agreement or Master Contract Agreement 2015 to 2017. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes. Our next motion is approval of a custodial vacation memorandum of understanding.
So this item is just a cleanup item from our negotiations that was settled back in February. It's a MOU that's in regards to vacation payout.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion by Pruito and seconded by Lindblad to approve the custodial vacation memorandum of understanding. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes. And our final motion this evening would be approval of the abatement bid.
Yes, we actually have two bids in front of you tonight. This is the abatement bid. We received three. This is for asbestos abatement removal at the high school for our high school summer project. We received three bidders, Mavo Systems, Envirobate, and Dennis Environmental. Envirobate was the low bidder, and we are recommending the approval of the Envirobate bid, base bid, as well as the alternate for approval tonight. This bid did meet in alignment with what we were budgeting for.
Do I have a motion to approve the abatement bid and award it the job to Envirobate?
So moved. Second.
A motion by Sturtevant, seconded by Lindblad to approve the abatement bid. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that passes.
I just do have an addition in the consent agenda, we also have a bid for approval for our district safety and security bids. We had two bids, and the one was thrown out because they didn't meet the bid specifications. So that one is going to be awarded. We're recommending awarding that bid to Protec Design. The award was the base bid was for around $517,000. And with the alternates, it came out to about $595,000, which is also in line with our budget, and we are recommending that for approval as well tonight.
All right. Do we need to do that as a separate motion, or you mentioned consent agenda?
It's in the consent agenda.
It is
It'll be
it
fine.
is part of the consent agenda, so we can approve that
Yeah.
as part of the consent agenda, which happens to be the next item on the bid, or on the docket for us this evening. The consent agenda is basically includes the routine action items, minutes of the school board meeting and session that was held March 15th, monthly financial reports, the new contracts, amendments, leaves of absence, termination, resignations, and retirements, approval of the request for proposal for the district-wide security upgrades and awarding that to Protect, the annual MD user access recertification for Dr. Flathman as our identified official with authority. Couple of items I guess I would like to make note of that were in there with regards to retirements. Unfortunately, we're losing several folks here that have spent a lot of time in the district. One beginning with Dr. Rob Smith, our principal at our ALC. And if I can find my list of things here, if I had my thumb at the right spot, I would have the other. Joan Lensmeyer, who spent 31 years as our helping us out from many things. Currently, she's the coordinator for the community center. She'll be retiring at the end of the year. We also have Marilyn Dean, spent 14 years with us. She's currently a teaching position at Hayes. Barb Hutchinson, 21 years in a clerical position with the district. So we certainly like to thank those folks for all of their years of good service for us. With that, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second?
I have a motion by Pruitt, seconded by Lindblad to approve the consent agenda of routine action items as I listed. Any other comments? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion passes. Next item, we move on to written information, beginning with student enrollment.
In your packet is our monthly April 1st enrollment numbers. This is slightly before the last quarter, so we see some change, slight change, I believe, down 7 at the high school, which is not unusual at this particular time of year. But again, we are finishing stronger than we had anticipated, and as we talked about, work session will be coming forward with the assumptions for the next budget that will be approved in June, and we will be slightly, albeit about the same as last year.
Right, thank you. Next up will be first reading of several policies, beginning Mr. Hammer and the conflict of interest.
So tonight, to align with the updated OMB circular from the federal government, the school districts that receive federal awards are required to have a conflict of interest policy. And we have that first policy for first reading tonight in front of you.
Thank you. Next, I believe we have 3 with regards to some special ed and harassment and violence.
Yes, thank you. So they have 3 first read policies. The first one is 206, public participation in or complaints about persons at school board meetings and data privacy considerations. And this is just an update to add some additional language from the new Minnesota State statute. Policy 413, the harassment and violence policy, is updated to bring in the addition of the word gender to the policy as a protected status. And policy 414, mandated reporting of child neglect or physical or sexual abuse, is updated to include the additional references to some Minnesota State statutes.
Great, thank you. And then last but not least, Ms. Oftedal, you've got 4 or 5 to present to us this evening.
I'll wrap up the policy list. Policy 102, equal education opportunity for students, has been updated to include the term gender as a protected status. Policy 208, development, adoption, and implementation of policy, sets out the guidelines for policy review here in the school district, including a 3-year review of the total policies and identifying those policies that need to be reviewed annually. Policy 401, the equal employment opportunity, includes the term gender as a protected status. Policy 410, the family and medical leave policy, has updated the definitions to include the definition of spouse, to include and reference same-sex relationships, marriages, as well as common law marriage. Drug and alcohol testing addresses both 416 and 417 address the new legislation on medical cannabis for both students and staff or employees. So those are all submitted for their first reading.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up would be reports from school board members, beginning with the Northwest Suburban Integration School District Joint Powers meeting that was held on March 16th. As part of that, main topic of concern at that point in time was the rulemaking that the MDE did with regard to the integration and how that's going to work going forward. There was obviously lawsuits and motions that was filed before a judge that their rulings has come down, and the main takeaway from it is that they gave the MDE, they threw it basically back into their court that they'll have to redo their programming. They didn't follow appropriate procedures. They didn't make the appropriate arguments as to why their rulemaking was valid in all cases. The judges did give them some pointers to things that would make it to come into line and then be enforceable from their standpoint. So we're waiting to see what the MDE comes back with on that. Also, main things that we're working there is we revised our grant application for the new magnet school grants. It was a grant that we received when we first started down the line with the IB here in the district, and Northwest was fortunate enough to get that. Here's another one that's coming out to revamp that along the same lines. With that, we have currently 7 new schools that we're beginning to add magnet programs in their schools that would then provide us some funds to allow them to do that. So we're putting the grant application together and sending that in and waiting to see what happens on that. There was a rather quick timeline for the whole project to take place, so it was kind of a quick hurry-up rush to get everything all together, but they're diligently working on that, making sure that gets in, and we'll see how we do on that. Next up would be the Association of Metropolitan School Districts Board meeting March 18th. Mary Kay, I believe you said that you weren't available to do that, so Dr. Flathman was part of that?
Yes, I had a conflict with that meeting time, so.
So we had a legislative update on the session, which is kind of, I think a while ago we had a non-session session. I think that might be what it will be characterized down the road. And then there was also guest speakers, Paula Forbes and Nell Matthews, who are attorneys talking about the school desegregation in Minnesota and current legal issues that are facing school districts. And so we will be keeping our eyes on that possibility as to how it might affect the school district, which is what you spoke earlier with Northwest Suburban.
Thank you. And finally, Northeast Metro 916's board meeting from April 5th. Marcia?
Yes, one of the items we had, it was a presentation by Kevin Horst, who's the mental health specialist for the Northeast Metro District. And the topic was the impact of childhood trauma. And this is kind of a lengthy report, but I think it's important and interesting information to share. So I'll start, there's 2 types of trauma. Acute trauma, that's a one-time event, and complex trauma, which is repetitive. It persists over time, and it can be a violation of safety in an important relationship. It's persistent, yet unpredictable and distressing, and its impact may increase over time. And what they found is this complex trauma, it affects the developmental, I can't think of the word, of the child. So it occurs during a child's physical, social, and emotional developmental years. It negatively impacts the child's ability to achieve certain milestones, and it can result in arrested or delayed cognitive, academic, physical, emotional, and social development. And there was a study done, a nationwide study done from 1995 to 1997, and they've come up with 10 what they call adverse childhood experiences. And these 10 experiences include physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, physical neglect, emotional neglect, mental illness, substance abuse, domestic violence, parental divorce or separation, or parental incarceration. And what they found is those people who participated in the study and had a score of 4 or higher of these experiences, they're twice as likely to smoke, 7 times more likely to be alcoholic, 6 times more likely to have had sex before the age 15, twice as likely to have cancer, 4 times more likely to suffer from emphysema or bronchitis, 12 times as likely to have attempted suicide. And the individuals that do have these 4 or more, what they call ACEs, they tend to die 24 years earlier than their peers. And so the trauma that they're experiencing, it impacts their learning, behavior, relationships, brain development. And what really was surprising to me is how much it affects their immune system. So there was a study, comparative study done at Bel Air Education Center, which is part of Northeast Metro, and that's an alternative learning center for children in grades 6 through 12. The study included 30 students, and what they found is that 87% of these students reported 4 or more ACEs. They've experienced 4 or more of these traumas. And what's really unsettling is that there were 2 students who reported experiencing all 10 of these traumas. And so students in these settings who have gone through experiences like that in their childhood, they're coping with emotional, social, and cognitive challenges that require a staff to be educated and capable of providing a trauma-informed environment. And so the teachers for Bel Air are going to begin, they're going to participate in staff development so they can have the skills and tools necessary to help these students. Another part of this presentation, we watched the trailer for a documentary that's just come out. It's called Paper Tigers. And Paper Tigers, like I said, it's a documentary. It takes place at, what is the name? Lincoln Alternative High School in Walla Walla, Washington. And this is a result of the principal from that school. 3 years ago, he attended a conference, and his takeaway from the conference was stressed brains can't learn. So he came back to his school and decided what they needed to do is change the way that they interacted with the students. Like I said, it was an alternative learning center. Students had experienced many of these traumas. And what they did, they related to the students not in punitive ways, but by showing love and caring. And over a 3-year period, the fights decreased by 75% and the graduation increased 5-fold just by changing the way they interacted with students and showing them love. So it's shown that just one caring adult in a student's life can change them dramatically, and oftentimes that caring adult is a teacher. And that's why it's so important to go through the staff development in our schools here, especially our alternative learning centers. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. With that, it's also a good segue to our future important school board dates. This Friday, the 22nd, at 10 in the morning, ALC will be holding its celebration. So we certainly recommend any folks that would like to come out for that, to be part of that. That would be wonderful. On April 25th, the IB career-related program will be taking place at the district boardroom at 7:45 a.m. The next Northeast Metro 916 board meeting, May 3rd at 6 p.m. at the Bel Air School. The AMSD board meeting, May 6th, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. at the Ties Conference Center. On May 13th, there'll be a volunteer appreciation breakfast being held at the FCC at 7 a.m. for those volunteers that have been helping us with the district for so many things this year. Our next Fridley Public School Board meeting is May 17th with the open work session beginning at 5:30 in Conference Room A, the open forum at 7 p.m., and the business meeting at 7:30 here in the City Council chambers. On May 18th, there'll be a district retirement reception at 4 p.m. at the Fridley Community Center. And that evening, there will also be the Scholastic Achievement Banquet held at the Fridley High School.
Next night.
Well, that's the next. You're right. That's been moved to the 19th. That's right. I was looking at my schedule. That's now on the 19th. The evening of the 19th will be the Scholastic Achievement Banquet. And finally, May 18th will be the next Northwest Suburban Integration School District Joint Powers Board at 6:15 at their offices. With that, unless someone has anything else for the agenda this evening, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Lindblad, seconded by Pruitt to adjourn the meeting at 8:38. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we are adjourned.